Next up, we have Caine Thompson from O'Neill Vintners. He hails from California, but originally from New Zealand, the second best rugby team in the world. Caine is a trustee of the Regenerative Viticulture Foundation and also grew up on an orchard in New Zealand. He has over 20 years of experience as a viticulturist and wine executive, and he has been responsible for converting hundreds of acres of acres to organic, biodynamic, and regenerative in farming in New Zealand and California. And since joining O'Neill Vintners and Distillers in the USA, he's been leading sustainable wine growing for over 200 wine growers across 15,000 acres. So he's going to tell you a bit more about his journey and the case study that he's been busy with to demonstrate to growers how regenerative farming works. Thank you, Caine, for traveling so far to be here with us today. We are very pleased to have you here.
Oh, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here all the way from the US, and I grew up and still am a Kiwi, obviously, but living in the US. But some of my first memories of South Africa were the '95 World Cup, which I remember getting up at like midnight to watch that heartbreaking moment, and then obviously the last World Cup as well. So it's a real pleasure to be here, honestly, to spend time with you and to talk about what we're doing at O'Neill Vintners and Distillers, where I head sustainable farming and then regenerative farming for the company, and then also my partner Anne from the Regenerative Viticulture Foundation. I'm one of the trustees of the foundation and chair the technical committee of the foundation as well. So we're going to talk about in the next half an hour is this transition study that we've set up at O'Neill Vintners. So to give you some context, O'Neill Vintners is the 9th largest wine company in the US. We crush about 250,000 tons all through California and Washington. As a baseline, we have 220 growers that supply our wineries. Certified sustainable is a must to grow for us at O'Neill. And over the last 5 years, we've been having this conversation around regenerative farming and how we go further than just sustaining the land. And it's our belief within the organization and with our owner, Jeff O'Neill, that if regenerative farming is to really change the world, it's got to be able to scale. And we've got about to meet growers where they are on their journey in regenerative ag and regenerative viticulture. So 5 years ago, we set up this study to set up a trial in Paso, Robles. I'm going to show you exactly where that is, to compare and contrast a conversion from conventional, and again, agree with you, like, hate that term, but compare conventional farming with transition into regenerative organic. So it's a 3-year journey into organic, and then it's we're farming regeneratively at the same time, so it's basically a 4-year transition. So we're going to show you the results of this study over this time and all the data that we've collected. But the purpose was to highlight the practices, what it takes to farm this way, what is the effect on yield, cost, quality, take it all through to finished wine as well, and see what is the impact on wine, and then obviously the economics as well, which we'll talk about. So this is where we are in California, so we're right in the middle of the state here in Paso Robles, about 4 hours north of LA, about 4 hours south of San Francisco. It's a fairly large AVA. It's about 50,000 acres. There's about 400 wineries within Paso Robles, so it's a really developed wine region. And then we're right there, that little red dot is our Robert Hall estate, which is where the trial is being set up. So the trial is being set to what's called regenerative organic standards. So this is one of the certifications that was mentioned before. And so we're going to talk about this from a trial perspective. And then at the end, we're going to talk about what we're doing with our growers to convert to regenerative farming, where we're not using organic as the baseline. And we'll talk about that further. So in regards to the key practices that we've been adopting in this trial, so The conventional farming side we'll talk about shortly, but in terms of the regenerative organic practices, so it's been a synthetic-free program, so free of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides. Cover cropping, putting a really diverse mix of different species into our vineyards. Soil health focus, a lot of compost, and we'll talk about exactly what we're doing on that front. Animal grazing and introduction. So we're using a lot of sheep. We actually don't use cattle at all, which I found really interesting visiting some of the states that over the last few days, there's opportunity for us to use them there. But being from New Zealand, I can talk about sheep for a long time and the benefits of sheep. And then minimizing tillage. So we're doing a small amount of tilling under the vine, mechanized, which is a lot quicker than doing any work by hand. And then the social fairness standard as well around farm worker well-being and paying fair wages as well. So the conventional programs, this is a very standard program. I'm not sure if these products are available in South Africa or what the different trade names are. I know Movento is a common product for mealybug here. But a very standard conventional-based program for our control. And then our regenerative organic practices here. Clemens Undervine weed knife, tilling just under the vine to turn those weeds over to limit the control. Fairly standard fungicide program with crop oils and sulfur. And then we're brewing a lot of compost teas on site from a nutrition program. And then pest control, we're using mating disruption and also biocontrol that we'll talk about. I won't dwell too much on this comparison table, but this is just internally a table that we've put together to help define from a US perspective the definition of sustainable, organic, biodynamic, regenerative organic, and then there's the regenerative piece without organic as the baseline, which is around minimizing herbicides and synthetics and fungicides while using all of the other practices. So trial design. So we set this up on a 48-acre block within the vineyard. 43 acres converted to regenerative organic. A 5-acre parcel left as conventional. And here on the left-hand side, that red box is the 5-acre control there, and the area to the right is basically the 43 acres, and then the area in the black is the other 5 acres. So for all of our experimental design, all the measurements are taken out of those 2 blocks in the red and the black. Then in 2022, the rest of the estate started getting converted to regenerative organic, and then another 70 acres that we have started being converted as well. So I'm just going to take you through the seasonal perspective in terms of what we're doing across each of the seasons. So we'll start off with the winter here. You can see how dry it is in Paso Robles. We get about 500 to 550 mils on average per year. It all comes in the winter time. So during the growing season, it's dry. We don't spray for downy. We don't spray for botrytis, really. So it's a very forgiving climate. And a lot about what we talk about with regenerative agriculture is it being site-specific and climate-specific. So this is broadcast spreading of compost. We're putting about 6 tons to the acre on, and we have for the last 5 years. And obviously we're sheep grazing all through the winter, zone-based grazing through the vineyard with sheep. Going into spring, it's usually, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Question on the composting. What's your sources of composting, and do you guys actually test it? Because I'm struggling to find proper compost around here because the turnover is so quickly. So physically, the compost looks amazing. Mm-hmm. But then from the sources that they use, there's massive nitrogen, sodiums in there, huge amounts of iron.
Interesting.
I've seen that if you put down on certain soils, if you put down consistently put down those compost like every 2 years, mm-hmm. you actually start screwing up your chemistry in the soil, but actually making it worse by thinking you're doing good.
Yeah.
So what is your sources, and do you guys test your compost chemically or not?
Yeah, we test all of our compost. We've got a partner off-site that makes a lot of the compost for us because we've got so much that we're putting onto our vineyard. So we're not making it ourselves on-site, but it's a partner organization that's making it for us.
Do you have like analysis that you can
I don't have it in the deck, but I can get it and send it. Yeah.
because it's something that we've been struggling to find is a proper source of good quality compost. Everything looks good,
Yeah.
but once you start analyzing it, there's 95% of the compost that I don't want to use or put down. Like I said, it's on specific soils. I mean,
Yeah.
it's on soils that can't drain properly and
Yeah.
very high levels of sodium. I'm really scared to put down compost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. We're happy with our compost source. It's all organic certified that comes to the farm. And from the testing that we've...
Skins and grape stems in those
A small amount, yeah, a small amount. But we're not massive fans of too much grape stems and skins. We find it adds a lot of potassium, which we don't need to our soils.
That's one of the problems is like the analysis that I've seen and that we've done is huge amount of sodium, huge amounts of potassium, and then massive amounts of iron. Which
Yeah.
I've seen in all the composting has got, I don't know, if you want a bit more insight, why the iron's are always so massively high. But
That's a typical problem.
like 25 to 30,000.
My comment is always that ignore the iron in food because it's a very difficult process. For some reason, it's always very high. And if you apply iron to the soil, even if it was correct, it doesn't matter. It's got no negative effect.
Yeah. Yeah, from our context, we don't have high salinity or iron from the compost that we're receiving. But that's super interesting to hear. So going into the spring season, the cover crop's starting to go through. Depending on when that rain comes, ideally we're putting our cover crops in like straight after harvest to catch the winter rains. Worst case scenario, we're putting cover crops in early spring after it kind of dries out a little more. We're doing a combination of different compost teas, obviously the cover crop planting, and then the undervine till area. And then for mealybug control, and basically all pest control now, we're using a combination of mating disruption and then also incubating predators to do biological drops. So we've got a partner organization. It's one of the largest insectaries in the US. So any type of pest that we have, they help identify predators, they incubate the predators, and then we're utilizing technology through the use of drones, which some of you are using as well, to set these flight paths to help distribute. In this case, this is mealybug destroyer being dropped out into the vineyard. At the start of this project, when we moved away from conventional products for mealybug control, we had a significant mealybug issue. We've got vine mealybug like you do here in South Africa, which has a lot of different generations. We're doing about 4 drops a year. Now, 5 years into the project, we're down to 1 drop, and then this season we probably won't do any because our population's completely in balance now. Going into summer and then also late spring. So this is the way that we're controlling weeds under vine. So this is a Clemens machine here. So it's going in and out of the vines, a little sensor arm. I'm sure you've probably got these devices here as well. But it moves relatively quickly, about 7 kilometers an hour through the vineyard. Just a light till, just to disrupt the weeds and help allow better water penetration down into the soil as well. And then through the seasons, we've seen this really similar effect. So we've seen in 21, 22, you've got the conventional on the left, you've got the regenerative organic on the right. We're seeing bigger, stronger, more robust canopies in general, all the way through. 23 was an interesting year. You see there on the left-hand side, a little bit of miscommunication with one of our operators and broadcast spray out of the mid-row there comparatively to not on the regenerative organic side, and we'll show you the effect of that in some of the yield data in 23. At 24, similar, bigger, stronger, more robust canopy in a warm climate where we're growing. This is really important because the fruit, if your canopy and your fruit is overexposed, you're starting to get crinkling and dehydration of fruit and loss of yield. With the bigger, stronger canopies, we're getting more protection of the fruit, and as a result, our juice yields are a lot better. And the fruit's intact, which is making a big impact on wine quality as well, which we'll talk about shortly. But some of the key learnings has been how quickly nature responds if you let her. And we'll go through some of the kind of hard data of the trial through these next few slides. So because of those stronger, bigger canopies in the first couple of years, we've seen reasonable increases in yield. In 23, we actually saw a slight decrease in yield. We think that's primarily because of that really late season broadcast spread of application of herbicide that gave that kind of flush to the canopy and flush into the fruit. These are all tons per acre. So basically divide by 2 pretty much to get to tons, multiply by 2, to get to for hectare rate. A slight increase in yield in 2024. But you can see how low the rainfall is on the right-hand side in Paso Robles as well.
Sorry, how often do you irrigate?
We're pretty frequently. I'd say on average during the summer, it's about three times a week. Yeah. So these are a really, really warm climate. Bricks at harvest, so we're picking generally like fairly ripe. So it's not uncommon for Californian wines to be around 15% alcohol. But what we've found pretty much every year is that on the regenerative organic side, we've got slightly lower alcohols. What we're trying to do is keep all variables apart from farming the same. So we're picking on the same day here as well. Yeast available nitrogen, so this is basically the health of the yeast on the fruit coming into the winery and the health of the ferment. First year, pretty much the same. Second year, we've had a pretty significant increase in yeast available nitrogen. Same in the third year. In fourth year, not as big of an increase, a pretty small increase there. But generally trending in the right direction in regards to healthier fruits, healthier yeast, and better YAN levels. Color has kind of bounced around a bit. So again, the control is on the left, the regenerative organic side is on the right. So slightly lower color in the first year. In general, and a slightly better color in 2022. At 23, kind of a mixed bag. And then 2024, a slight improvement in color as well. And then going into harvest, well, post-harvest, 3 applications of some barrel compound, which is another kind of preparation that we're brewing on site, back into more sheep grazing as soon as the fruit comes off. We've actually got quite a high trellising wire, so we've got it's basically up to just under my shoulders, so sheep can actually graze for like a long period, grazing for about 6 months a year from early spring all the way through to about shoots about 6 to 7 inches, like just kind of almost pre-flowering. No, it's actually from establishment. So the vines are about 15 years old. So it's like a high VSP type setup with a sprawling arms. And then the cost side. So when we started farming this way 5 years ago, there was a lot of learning internally from our vineyard management teams. So it was leading to about a 10% increase per per acre in farming costs, but because our yields were slightly higher, it was actually resulting in a slight decrease in terms of the cost of the fruit transferring into the winery. In 2022, a 9% increase and about a 6% increase per ton of fruit going into the winery. And then in 2023, we're getting more efficient with our farming, a 7% increase. And that was the year that we had that flush from the conventional side, so it's about a 14% increase per ton. But in terms of the cost that we sell the fruit into the winery, because we're farming this way, we're receiving a 30% premium from the winery buying the fruit. So we're significantly in the black economically on this vineyard. And we're going to talk more about the economics with Victoria a little bit later. Quantifying the effects of regenerative farming on soil. So we've got a partnership with a company called Agrology, where we've got these sensors that we put into the vineyard that are measuring the carbon flux. So there's these chambers they put down into the soil that's going down about 4 feet, and then there's CO2 sensors in the canopy as well. So this is real-time readings. Readings are taken throughout the day. So we've got this data that we're collecting throughout the growing season to see what is the real impact on the soil, canopy temperatures, soil moisture of these regenerative farming practices versus the conventional control. So I'm going to take you through some of the highlights of this data. So, like, big picture here, the scale on the axis on the bottom here. These are different days throughout the season here. Basically, what we're seeing, this is around soil respiration. We're getting significantly more soil respiration in the regenerative block comparatively to the control block. When we look at soil moisture holding capacity, the green line up the top there, the blue along the bottom, this is throughout the season here on the scale, holding about 13% more soil moisture on the regenerative side comparatively to the control. Again, yeah.
So do you see your irrigation needs going down with the regenerative section? For instance, you said you irrigate 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Do you now irrigate the regenerative section 2 times a week?
It's pretty much about 2 times a week, sometimes once a week. But we're definitely, and we're seeing the soil organic matter numbers. We've got a lot more soil organic matter. We've got about 2.4% compared to 1.4. So I think all that additional compost, the cover cropping, the bigger, stronger canopies providing shade to the soil as well. So it's resulting in less evapotranspiration in the regenerative side compared to the control, which is got less organic matter, less shade, so it's kind of baking out there. So we're definitely holding more moisture, and it's allowing us to irrigate less, which in a dry climate like ours is really important, because California, as I'm sure you're aware, there's not a lot of water there. We're pulling water from 1,000 feet wells, so we're pulling, and our pumps are down 800-900 feet. And so if we can hold more moisture and use less as an industry, it's going to put less pressure on that aquifer, which is one of the most exciting pieces about kind of some of this data and why we're encouraging more farmers in Paso Robles to farm like this, because if we don't, we're not going to have enough water to sustain the crop for the future. This is really interesting. So these are the canopy temperature sensors in the canopy. Basically, the blue line is the control, the green is the regenerative. This is key days across in here in October. So you can see the canopy temperature is a lot higher in the control comparatively to the regenerative side. This is a pretty big difference in October here. It was only 1 day over 100 degrees in the regenerative side versus 8 days over 100. And this is when the vine's getting under a lot of stress. And this is when we get a lot of dehydration, a lot of crinkling, a lot of overripe characters, decrease in quality that we really don't want. Our soil temperature, again, following a similar path here. So these are all the different days through this period here. A lot higher soil temperature, as you'd expect when there's a covered soil, a bigger, stronger canopy. You're going to have lower lower soil temperatures in that block comparatively to the control, which is what we want to see, but it's just nice to back it up with some data here. Okay, Haney soil test. So on the green side here, we've obviously got the regenerative organic block. We've got about 2.4% organic matter versus 1.4 organic carbon, 1.5 versus 0.86. Haney soil respiration, 30 parts per million versus 17. I know we've got a lot of soil experts in the room here that are far more educated on this side than what I am. But a soil health Haney score of 7.8 versus 4.7. And over the course of the project, this is attributed to about an extra 12 tons per acre of soil organic carbon, which is resulting in our ability to hold a lot more water in the soil, which is why we're so encouraged by this form of farming for Paso Robles to be able to be a farming system for the future of Paso Robles. In the winery, so we've kept all these lots separate for the last 5 years, and we certainly encourage you to come visit California to actually be able to taste through these, because it's an amazing tasting to go through. Everything was treated the same. We're using basically neutral oak, small amount of sulfur, natural malo, no tannins or oaks, liquid oak or anything like that added, pump overs once a day, natural malo. And so when you come to the winery, you go through all these different wines and you can compare and contrast. And there's been subtle differences, improvement over time. When we do it double blind, the majority of people are picking up quality improvements. But it's really the 2024 that is the year, kind of 5 years into the study, where every time we do it double blind, everyone prefers the regenerative organic when it's done in a double blind context. So summary of these key findings: 70% increase in organic matter, 74% increase in soil organic carbon. With the soil organic matter we talked about, 4 out of 5 years we've had actually a yield improvement farming this way. That's a cumulative about 5% on average yield increase. Average cost increase of about 7%. But we're transferring the fruit every year at this 30% premium from a vineyard selling fruit to the winery. And then from a winery perspective, we've actually been able to take this fruit that was usually going into a $15 a bottle wine. Now it's going into a $30 bottle of wine that's being sold within Whole Foods. This carries the Regenerative Organic seal, which is important to Whole Foods, and this will be a first to market across all of their near 500 stores in the US. This represents about 5,000 cases that'll go in at $30 a bottle on our Cabernet Sauvignon, and then our other vineyard we will launch a Sauvignon Blanc at the same time of another 5,000 cases. So it's about 10,000 cases going into one retail partner, which is a really great win for us as a company. So really encouraging results at Robert Hall. We're continuing the trial here. Expansion now into 140 acres. So we've got 140 acres all certified regenerative organic, and since 2024. Then at our Ramsgate property, this is a vineyard and winery up in Sonoma that we own. It is organic certified at the moment and is pending ROC certification as well. This estate here, we've also transitioned into agroforestry, where we're planting fruit trees back into the actual vineyard rows as well. Relatively small numbers, about 50 fruit trees per acre interplanted within the vineyard rows, and that's all about bringing diversity back to the vineyards, bringing new life and new energy into the vineyard. All these ancient heirloom varieties coming back. And then just the last slide here, just to finish off here, from an O'Neill Vintners perspective. Our further 800 acres of estate vineyards are transitioning into a program called Certified Regenerative. Out of all the certifications that were put up on the slide there, we feel this is a great certification for our growers to transition to. It's a non-profit organization. It meets growers where they are. It's not organic as the baseline. It takes all the practices, all the regenerative farming practices, encourages you to use them and apply them, adopt them, minimize synthetics, but still having that ability to use a synthetic if you do get an outbreak of botrytis or powdery or downy. So we're taking all of our growers, 220 of them across 15,000 acres, into this program. It's also a program, like some of the others on that slide I mentioned, that are recognized by Whole Foods and a number of other key retailers across the world as well. So we feel this is a way to really help communicate the story of regenerative farming at scale as we kind of take the whole supply chain from certified sustainable into regenerative farming. And we realize it's going to take time, but it's just time we've got to take to make that step. Yeah, that's my last slide. Thank you for your time.